Welcome to the world beneath your feet. We are about to go on an incredible journey to an unseen world that is right beneath you. For the next few minutes, we will take a close look at the geology, or as we like to call it, the awesome rock layers of southern Oklahoma. During this video, we will look at what's down there, how it got there, and why it is important to you and me. Most of the sites we will see today are brought to us through our friends at the Oklahoma Energy Resources Board. Thanks to groups like OERB and the Goddard Youth Foundation, we are able to see the world beneath our feet. Located in the heart of southern Oklahoma is an area unlike any other in the world. This area is known as the Arbuckle Mountains. The Arbuckles are one of the oldest mountain ranges in the world. It may be hard to imagine, but they have risen and eroded away twice in their lifetime. This area once looked very much like the Alps of Switzerland or the Rockies of Colorado. Today we find something that would be more correctly classified as hills rather than mountains, but we still hold to the name out of respect for what they once were. Although on the surface the Arbuckles may seem very mild and timid, just under your feet is another story. What is a beautiful rolling landscape on top of the ground is an incredibly complex group of rock layers beneath the surface. It is here that we begin to see what the Arbuckle Mountains once looked like. With the help of the renowned Arbuckle geologist Bob Allen of Ardmore, Oklahoma, and through funds donated by the Oklahoma Energy Resources Board, the Goddard Children's Museum has created a diorama of the Arbuckle Mountains subsurface geology. The diorama is a combination of science and art. Artists using Bob Allen's drilling information have created a learning tool to help us understand the complex world beneath our feet. Here we see layer upon layer of limestones, sandstones, and shales. Some of these layers are thousands of feet thick, while others are only a few feet from top to bottom. In this diorama, we find great fault lines where the rocks are broken and shifted, offsetting the layers, sometimes by hundreds of feet. And we also can see domes, which are areas that have been pushed abruptly upward by pressure from below. Energy from deep within the earth has overturned some of these layers, and today, some of the younger rock lies beneath older rock. We also find that energy and pressure from above and to the sides resulted in the folding of many of the rock layers. The folded layers seem to rise and fall like waves turned to stone. After understanding that these layers are right beneath us, you are probably asking the question that many others have asked. How'd they get there? Well, to answer that question, we have to go back several million years in geologic time and see how they were formed. We will use the rock layers themselves to piece together the answer. When we are studying the Arbuckles, it is important to know that southern Oklahoma was once covered by shallow seas. These seas were teeming with just millions upon millions of living organisms. Some were large, and some were even microscopic. As these organisms would die, they would settle to the bottom and stack up as sediment. Over time, and by time we mean many, many years, this would create layers upon layers of dead organisms. As you can imagine, these layers were very heavy. Try to picture holding a book in your hand. Now stack on top of that book 10 more books, and 10 more, and 10 more. Well, you guessed it. It starts to get pretty heavy. This is what happened to the north and south of southern Oklahoma. And as they say, something's gotta give. The weight pushing down has made this area rise up, and thus, the Arbuckles began to form. What were once nice flat layers are now bent, twisted, and broken layers. We can see where this movement takes place even today. Geologists give each of these areas a name, such as faults, folds, and domes. These structures help us piece together the history of the area, as well as help find valuable natural resources like minerals, metals, and petroleum. There are places all around us that allow you and me to view this rich history. We call these windows to the past. A great example of the windows would be road cuts. Road cuts are places where the modern roads have been cut through a mountain. Another example would be rivers and creeks. With rivers and creeks, water is doing the work. It is here that you can see how rainwater running down a creek bed cuts through the layers and exposes these layers for everyone to see. Perhaps the best window is provided by drilling rigs. As a rig drills deeper and deeper into the earth, it brings up rock samples from each layer it passes through. These samples tell us how thick the layers are and what they're made of. The fossils that the rock layers contain tell us much about life on the earth a long time ago. These samples may also tell us if oil and natural gas are trapped in the layers, sometimes miles beneath our feet. The final thing we want to look at is how the world beneath your feet is important to you and me. It is well known that the geology of southern Oklahoma holds within itself an enormous amount of treasure. Things that you and I use on a daily basis. Treasures such as minerals, metals, and petroleum. Some of the minerals gathered from these rock layers give us salt that we use to flavor our food, and other minerals are used in fertilizers that help us grow grass and crops. Another valuable treasure are the metals that are mined here, as well as all over the world. Metals such as iron that we use to make cars and refrigerators, aluminum, which is found in airplanes and soft drink cans, and copper, which is used to conduct electricity. One of the most sought after of these treasures is oil. These trapped hydrocarbons have become a very important part of all of our daily lives. It is from oil that we get plastics that are used in containers and in hospital equipment. We also get fertilizers for crops. It is from oil that we produce much of our clothing and even the gas we use for our cars. Although all of these things we have mentioned are very important to our daily lives, it has often been said that the geology of southern Oklahoma's greatest value comes from its beauty and ability to give us a glimpse into its rich history. This natural painting allows us to see into a time gone by and helps us to know what plants and animals once lived here. The natural beauty of these areas have inspired artists for thousands of years and have often been called God's own painting. As you can see, the geology of this area is awesome. Without it, we wouldn't have many of the things that we enjoy today. It is hard to imagine that this amazing area continues to affect our lives millions of years after it was created. It is very important that we continue to study the geology of this area, and thanks to groups like the Oklahoma Energy Resources Board, Goddard Youth Foundation, and dedicated men of science like Bob Allen, we will continue to learn more and more about the world beneath our feet.